The following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Unsupervised, the spinoff. This week, your friendly neighborhood hosts, minus Hollywood P, took a field trip and were guests on the new Defy Life Network podcast, Sip on This with G and Lala. The ladies will debut soon on the network, and we got to spend some quality time talking about intimacy and relationships, secret mom beatings, and many more things that made us laugh. Don't forget to email us at unsupervised@godefylife.com if you have anything you want to add to the conversation. Now grab a drink and enjoy the happy hour with the Sip on This Swapcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl G, and
it's Lala, and we're on Sip on This.
There goes that voice again. Oh, man. So every time you say that, I feel like we're going to dive into something really crazy. So I'm excited about tonight's episode because we got something special planned for everybody today. Today, we're going to be talking about intimacy, and Lala and I have invited two guests to join us, Money and West Coast J.
Welcome, guys.
Unsupervised Podcast. Welcome.
Hey. Good to be here. How you doing, ladies?
We're good. Thank you for coming on.
Yes,
Hi.
thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, as you guys already know, we have felt like we had to return a favor. Thank you guys for coming on Unsupervised Spinoff. So we definitely, when we got the invite, we were super excited. So I was coming back.
We're happy to have you.
Very, very excited. And I'm happy for the listeners to hear a little bit about you guys and your podcast. So for those listening, can you share a little bit about yourselves and your podcast?
West Coast, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I mean, the real himself supposed to start these things off. You already know what it is.
Hey, I'm Money, aka the real is back, Mr. Real himself. What are we? We're 22 episodes into our podcast. This has been an amazing journey. So for me, I've been at this podcasting for almost 2 years. Started out just on doing fantasy football shows and Fantasy Beast on our network, Defy Life, and was invited to the Defy Life podcast, the flagship podcast of our network. And then me and West Coast Jay got kicked off the show. We had to start our own show. And it's been pretty dope.
Everything happens for a reason, and you guys are doing great, right?
Oh yeah. That's my guy over there. We have a great chemistry, have a great show. Hollywood Paul, our third co-host, is not with us at the moment, but we just have a great time. Our show talks about current events, sports, politics, dating, oh man, wacky stats, you name it. We're ready for it. We go right into it. So it's always a great time. I'm a super nerd at heart, so it's things that I love to talk about as well. So I guess now I'll shut up from there. Happy to be back with you guys. If you guys haven't heard our show, we actually had the ladies minus one on our show a couple weeks back. So definitely jump in and check that out. It's a dope show.
It is. I actually heard it. You guys had an amazing show. So sorry I missed that one.
I do gotta say it was a great show. It was great topics. I was in good company all night. You guys made me feel comfortable in the topics we were talking about. And I was like super excited at the end of it. I called Giselle G and I was just like, girl, you missed out on a great show. So thank you for having me on your show to introduce our, Sip on This.
Sure. Thank you for
No
being
doubt.
there.
Thank you for coming. I had a great time. And I've been getting mad rave reviews about that show too.
They own your voice, Allah. They own it.
Oh.
It was like, who is that? Morica? Who is that? It was Mama Sita that was on there.
Hey.
Y'all need a little bit more of that going on.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
I heard the same
puts
thing.
the voice on. She puts the voice on every time we introduce one of our shows. She always says, "And sip on this," and I'm like, "Girl,
It's
when you say
okay.
it like when you say it
I
like
heard her.
that, when you say it, I mean, come on, it sounds juicy."
That's the way
Very
it's supposed
juicy.
to sound. Juicy.
They said, money, whoever that was, bring her back.
You you let me know. You let me know. Anytime. Anytime. So what's going on, West Coast Jay? What's going on with you?
Oh, ain't too much. I'm over here holding on like a hubcap in the fast lane. You know, ducking and dodging, you know, trying to stay healthy and safe out these streets.
Why
Chilling,
not?
man. Happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Sip on This podcast, I was telling you that from the beginning. I think you guys are pretty much like sister podcasts to us. Y'all's topics and our topics is when we're on one, we're on one. It's just all there is to it.
That's
So
great.
I'm looking forward to what's getting ready to happen today. About to bring y'all some of this loveliness, a little bit of that spectacularness. I'm gonna see if I can put my la voice on a little bit, see if I can get it smoothed out.
Please, you have your voice on. Your voice is on.
Seriously, he's on that Barry White tip. I'm like, okay,
Damn.
Hello.
you.
Gee, you got to hear him sing. I got a little
boy.
bit of his
Oh,
singing.
Oh, when did you get that?
Hello on the podcast.
This is true.
You missed it. Too bad. Don't give it to her, Jay. Don't give it to her. She don't deserve it.
Y'all gonna
Listen. I might enroll him by the end of the night.
Oh, enroll him.
I don't know if I'm filling out applications, if resumes need to be sent in. I manage your money over there.
I'm your reference, dog. You clear. You good to go.
I got references on deck. We good to go.
So now, how's it been going? Because y'all are in the West Coast. How's it
No.
been going for you?
We are not on the West Coast.
I am in Charlotte.
I am in Winston, North Carolina.
Oh, so you're just from San Fran.
I'm just from San Francisco, yes.
Got it.
Oh.
Okay.
But it's
And how's it
still
been going
going
over there?
bad over there, isn't it?
I mean, it's going, is the honest answer. Like, my parents are still good. My brother's out working. He's in one of the historical buildings in the city, so his job is essential, for lack of a better way to put it. And both of my parents are retired, so I don't think my dad's left the house this year.
Good.
Oh, wow.
Maybe he's safer at home than out there.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Now,
my
are people,
happy to be home.
do you find that people where you live are I don't know what the guidelines there. I know in CT, you can't go anywhere without a mask. Obviously, if you're dining or if you're going out for a drink, it's like outside seating. And people obviously don't have masks on while they're eating, right? But for the most part, I find that people in CT respect the mask. Like they put it on. Like it's very rare I find somebody walking in the streets without a mask. Do you find that people are walking without masks where you live?
For a while it was pretty, hit or miss. But I would say of the last maybe 3 weeks to a month, it's been pretty. Now when we see someone without a mask, like now you look like the oddball.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before it was like, we all had our mask on, but people were looking at us less like, you're crazy. And I was like, nah, brother, you crazy. I almost got into a whole fight with a guy the other day. Like I was in line. So one of the only reasons I go out is to get food. I was in line. I'm getting my food. I'm suited and booted. I got my mask on. I got on my hoodie. I got everything on. And 99 degrees. I got on the hoodie. And so there's a guy. He's like right
in your neck, right on your neck,
like right on my neck. And I'm like, yo, like, dude, you gotta back up. And he was like, no, why? We both have on masks. I was like, man, look, man, I know we both have on masks, but that's not guaranteed. That doesn't guarantee our safety. So you still have to back. You see that blue line back there? That's where you have to be. And he was like, and then he looked at me like I was crazy. So, I told him, hey, if you don't back up to that blue line, I'm going to physically remove you from my space.
Uh-oh.
And so then I guess he thought I was being mean, but he finally backed up. And I'm like, no, it's that serious for me. Like,
it's crazy though.
Normally, I
It's
carry
crazy.
a
I feel
pistol,
like,
so it's lucky. Like,
coño.
Is that serious?
People really do get offended if you tell them to back up. Like I was legit about to swing somebody at Aldi's out here because her shoulder was touching mine. And I'm like, I'm sorry, are you shopping at Aldi's or are you shopping in my cart? Like, what's up?
No.
I mean, what were you buying? She might have been in your cart.
She might have wanted her chicken.
She might have wanted to know. But no, like E40 says, man, give me 40 feet and an ounce of space. That's all I need.
so G, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Put on the spot. Do
Okay,
it.
So when we did our show, where were you?
Uh-oh.
Because I called you like
I was
7
actually
times.
you did.
Yep.
I call
You
her
know what?
too.
If you had been anybody else, I would have been like, fam, I got a stalker. But I fucked up. I actually left work late. I live in Connecticut. I live in the country in Connecticut. I'm not in the city. So my boss has been creepingly attached to me lately. So even though I'm supposed to leave at 5, I have been leaving much later just because hit 4:58, she wants to have a full-blown conversation with me. So it took me about 2.5 hours to make it home. Normally, it would take me about an hour and 10 minutes from the city, and it took me 2.5 hours just because I got stuck in massive traffic. So That's my bad.
No doubt. No, West Coast. Now our listeners will know why. The
Why the
other
other
half
Puerto
of
Rican?
Sip on This wasn't on the show. Yeah, because we're gonna run this on our show as well.
You know, you should have stuck with the story I said. I said you were making money.
Here's what she
Well,
said. She had your back.
technically she was. If she was still at work, technically she
Yeah.
was.
Mhm.
Technically. So, yes, my apologies to all your listeners. I fucked up. I own it.
So we owe them another show. So we need another juicy show to go on to.
I agree.
You are certainly always welcome. You know it.
So I'm gonna. You're gonna what?
We will set that up.
A nice 5-way. I won't say no.
You missed that conversation.
I like where your mind is at already. I like where you're
It was a really listen, y'all were talking threesomes and all kinds of craziness, everything that I just love to talk about. So I won't say no.
And I gotta say, they were very respectful about it. They were very respectful.
They were. Y'all were gentlemen.
Yes, they were.
I gotta tell you, I was actually very surprised because other men, and not every man, but some men probably would have been like, yo, I want a threesome with 2 chicks. I'm gonna tell you why, or I'm gonna bang her out. I'm gonna blow her back out. Yo, they were all respectful. I was like, yeah, Joe.
I know.
Bien lindo.
Their mamas raised them well.
I knew that.
Parents raised us well in general. Let's call it what it is.
Okay,
Shout out
yes.
to pops, too.
Mama, to your parents, yes. So I wanted to go back to this whole thing because I want to shout just G out again. How she acts like she out there, but she's not out there. She is home all the time. I'm trying to get her out for a drink. Here in Connecticut, we're past like level 5 or phase 5, and Giselle will not come out.
17.
And
y'all hating hard on me.
And I gotta tell you, I get a phone call from her last night, and guess where she's at? In a bar.
Damn.
Look at this.
And I'm in the gym, and I'm like, gee, why you not answering my calls? And she goes, you're not gonna like this.
You're not gonna like it at all.
You know what? It's crazy. So we have a mutual friend that has a restaurant, and the restaurant is banging. Okay. And it's
tequila restaurant.
It's middle ground for La and I, right? So my cousin is relocating from Brooklyn to Ohio, crazy, and so I was like, we gotta go out. Like, I gotta see you before you leave. I'm gonna brave it out. I'm just gonna go out. We're gonna go to dinner. We're gonna have some drinks. And then the phone starts ringing. I was like, oh. At first I heard that buzz because she texted. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna text her back. All right. I'm like legit whispering to my cousin who's sitting across. I was like, girl, yo, Lisette just hit me up. She was like, she was like, what you gonna do? I was like, girl, I'm just gonna wait to have this other drink. And when I'm done with this drink, I'm gonna hit her back. But I'm gonna tell her I'm gonna hit her when I get home. And my cousin's like, yo, you mad secretive right now. And then all of a sudden the buzz, I was like, oh, it's her. And my cousin is dying because my cousin is like, yo, pick up the fucking phone. Like, girl, just pick it up. So now our mutual friend is there. And I was like, oh no, what if Maria already told her I'm here? So I had to pick up that call. And I was like, girl, I only picked up this call right now because I was a little scared. I only picked up this call because I had a feeling he was going to find out where I was at anyways. And she's like, she's so sweet. She's like, why? No, where you at, girl? In her little cute voice and shit. I was like, girl, I'm at Cactus Rose. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing there? I was like, what?
She switched on
real quick. I was like, what the fuck?
Yo, she and my face. My cousin was like, girl, what happened? What happened? What she said, girl. In the background, I was like, well, what happened was, and I'm trying to explain it to her. And then when I hung up the call, my cousin's like, you sure y'all ain't sleeping together? She was like, bitch, you got real nervous. Like, I ain't see you get that nervous with no man. Like, what happened? And I was like, girl, I'm sweating. I was sweating.
Because I've been trying to get her out the house.
She has. Yo, La has been living her best life. I have been living this best country. Like, I have not left this house unless I got to do some food shopping and I got to go to work. And when I go to work, I'm not out there. Like, people are out. Like, some people in New York are out without masks. I'm not about that life. Like, I have on my mask. I'm like social distancing. I'm like spraying everybody with fucking sanitizer. I'm like, did you wash your hands? Did you wash your hands? Wash your hands again. So,
I'm out. I'm out.
No, you out. No, you
I'm out, but
out.
I'm wearing my mask. I go to the gym. I go eat. I go drink. I go walking. I'm out, but I'm very careful. I'm respecting other people's space.
So what she's saying is she is not quarantined. She's living her best life. Okay?
It's okay.
I can do it.
She's like, okay.
Okay. I'm being safe about living my best life. That's it.
We're beyond quarantine. We're at social distancing now. As long as it's 6 feet between her and the next person, she good.
That's exactly what happens. And at the gym, it's more than 6 feet. It's more than 6 feet. I'm going to a gym 2 towns outside of mine because my gym is overpopulated with New Yorkers. So, and I have to take care of business. I can't be letting quarantine take over my body.
I gotta tell you though, if I were at a gym, I would not want anybody squatting, lunging, bench pressing, like sweating next to me. The other side of me might come out if somebody was a little too close to me in the gym.
No, they don't. They really respect each other's space, honestly, here in Connecticut.
It's because it's CT. I feel like people in CT are way more respectful than people in New York.
Yeah.
I could say that. I'm a New Yorker. I could say that.
Me too. So let's stop this bullshit and let's get into the nitty gritty tonight. Let's get into the nitty gritty. You ready?
Let's go. Let's do this.
So we're going to talk about intimacy, guys. Our listeners are so used to hearing us two outspoken women talking about, sex and relationships and all this craziness. Now it's an opportunity to get a male point of view. You ready?
Wherever you are.
I was born ready.
I bet you were. G, you ready?
Listen, I've been waiting. I've been patiently waiting for this one. But I'm excited because I want to hear from the gentlemen. I do want to hear from the men. And La and I were talking about what intimacy is to us, right? And she was describing what intimacy looks like in her relationship. So hearing from you guys, like I'd like to know what do you feel, what do you believe intimacy is for you? Because everybody has a different perspective.
Right. Well, is that like officially a question? Like, what is intimacy?
It's officially a question. Yeah, I want to know what you believe intimacy is.
Right. Define intimacy.
Don't you be rolling your eyes because I will turn on my video and roll my eyes right back. Okay.
Intimacy. Oh, me? No. I'm thinking.
It's like this fool just rolled his eyes at me.
Intimacy is like, so I think there's 6 or 7 levels or layers of intimacy, right? And so, and only like one of those is like a sexual or a physical type of intimacy. And so when I talk about intimacy, I talk about intimacy as a whole, like from the mental, from the spiritual, from the emotional aspect and the understanding of intimacy and the level of openness and vulnerability that comes along with being intimate. And so, and the level of trust and how that is a bidirectional and unilateral trust. And so to me, intimacy is being open, being vulnerable, being trusting, being able to show yourself in the face of that fear, as well as being able to see those same things in another person without the judgment, without the, I guess, any negative backlash, or like a judgment-free zone where you should show a lot of empathy to each other, and then of course there's the physical and the sexual stuff that kind of is the layer on top of that. So you kind of I don't want to leave that out, because you can definitely be
You can't leave that out.
definitely be intimate physically, but you're doing it right when you have as many of those combined into one thing. I think I'll say, I think I'll leave it off like that.
Man, that was beautiful. Man.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yo, I'm like,
wait, tearing up and shit. I got a pen and paper out. I'm trying to take notes and everything, man. One of these days, I'm just gonna grow up just like you.
Yeah, whatever.
So you brought up 7 levels of intimacy, so you already know how I get down. I like to look things up. So apparently the 7 levels of intimacy are cliche, which really involve what have you been up to. Now the second level is facts, they're non-personal. And what was the score of the game? Is it raining outside? And then for a personal opinion, what'd you do today? What you been reading? The next level becomes opinions. Hey, how do you feel about, what are your beliefs about, whatever, etc. Next level you get is hopes and dreams. If you could live any way you like, how would you live? What goals do you have? Who are you trying to be like? Because my hopes and dreams is money. And then, number 5, feelings. When in your life have you felt special to others? How do you feel about your relationship with God, your most significant friendship, your relationship with your parents, etc., etc.? Then you get to fears, failures, and weaknesses. What makes you feel like you don't measure up? Where are your insecurities at? What can we do to fix them? Which is the next level, and that's where you get to the needs. What do you need to thrive? Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all the etc. So, intimacy, when you look at it from that level, the layer on top of that, obviously, is the physical intimacy, the sexual intimacy.
Right.
To ensure that if you've gone through from the basic, hi, how you doing? How are you? I'm good. Once you get from that all the way up to, what do we need to make this relationship work? What do we need to ensure that we thrive together? Like it's a pattern to get to that point, and it's a long, drawn out path. You can't. There's some people who like to just hop right in, just bow. I need this. Like, hold on, motherfucker, you skipped 1 through 6.
Slow down.
Oh, your role, Junior. Can I, at the very least, meet your sister or something? Damn. I know who your cousins are. Who in jail? All the etc. But on the intimacy it's paramount. It's a lot like what Money said. For me, it's trust. It's vulnerability. It's the ability to be able to give from yourself without fear of judgment, or if it is going to be judged by, you're being judged by somebody whose opinion you trust.
Right.
Like, they're not judging you maliciously, they're judging you to make you better.
Because I can only accept that judgment from someone that I'm intimate with. No one else's judgment matters to me. I'm so like impregnable and impervious to that. Like, and I guess I have to explain this at work all the time because people are like, "Well, someone thought you were saying, their perception." And I was like, "Give a fuck about that." Well, why? You should know because I don't like the only like I don't like I know what I'm doing, so I know what my intentions are, and so if Vice President asshole wants to look at what he sees me doing or interacting and says, I think he's doing, I don't care. And so, because I know what my intent is, my team knows what my intent is. I only ever give a person that type of power if I have that type of intimacy with them or I've given them that type of relationship. And so, but I'm told that's like a weakness, but I still don't care because I don't want to give anyone that much power over me to where I'm, their opinion means that much to me, even in a professional environment.
So some people feel like when they're intimate with someone, that their opinion it can take a negative toll because their opinion means so much. Like, for instance, if I'm intimate with someone and they told me something about something I'm doing or how I look, or it would bother me. Right. But that's part of, I guess, one of my insecurities, right? Even when you're being intimate with someone.
Well, I won't say that it's part of your insecurity as much as it is like your level of intimacy has made this person's opinion and their perception of you matter to you that much. That might not even be true, but it's their perception of you that's the important thing to you is their perception of you, not necessarily the actual accuracy of what they're saying, but more so like that's their opinion, and because you've created that intimacy layers, that opinion's now important to you.
Right.
So, I mean, if you want to let it take a negative connotation, I think that's where it becomes the proverbial, you feel some type of way. What is it? I don't know. Like, I don't know if they're being constructive or if they're trying to be mean. And a lot of that is based on what Money just said. Like, it depends on your level of intimacy with that person. If you are so vulnerable in some cases that to hear something that may not be intentioned as being mean or being vindictive, like they may just make an observation, and if you want to take that to heart, that's a choice that a lot of people make.
I think for me, I believe I shared this with you that I was divorced, and in my marriage, I thought that I could have that intimacy with my ex-husband, but he was just verbally abusive. Like everything was just like, I could never, let me rephrase that. I could never get to the point where we can have intimate moments without it going sideways with him, So he kind of ruined the whole concept of what a relationship's supposed to be like for me at the time,
Well, I'm sorry to hear
learning what it is to be intimate with someone, or learning, or what are the steps of getting there. Like he ruined that for me in my early 20s and 30s. Like that was like ruined. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm experiencing it now, but it takes work, But with my ex-husband, it was just like, I also feel like he didn't even know how to be intimate with someone. So it reflected on me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
No. I was just going to say that I feel like when it comes to intimacy, those are conversations that you have, right? Like at least for me, like I can't just be intimate with somebody and expect that they're going to meet me where I'm at, right? So in relationships, right? Even though you keep saying I'm in one, I don't.
You
I don't
are.
see that. I'm single. In, in
Yeah.
relationships, I feel like I get to be honest and authentic, and I get to show up vulnerably and lovingly with my partner, and I get to share what the expectations are, or like what is it that I'm looking for, or what is it that I'm experiencing, right? And inside of that conversation, like I'm creating a safe space for him to share as well. But if I'm not met, like if that's not reciprocated, and they're not even, if my partner is not trying to communicate with me or be vulnerable with me, or if I'm experiencing something where I'm saddened or I'm hurt, and I'm not met with empathy, he just may not want to be fucking intimate with me. Right. And so I feel like in that moment, I get to have a conversation I get to check in, but I also get to have a conversation with him and be like, hey, what's up? Because I feel like there's an expectation sometimes in relationships for men to be vulnerable or men to be authentic or honest, and for them to create intimacy with their spouse or their partner. But there's not any communication of that. So there's these expectations, right? And then when the expectations aren't met, it's like, oh, he got an X here. Oh, he got an X here. But I feel like a lot of that has to do, communication is key. That is huge. I can't be intimate with somebody that I can't communicate with, and that I can't be authentic with or honest with or vulnerable with.
The communication is the key.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. And for me, I'm my like not off topic, but for me, my orgasms when I'm with somebody physically, that's attached to the emotional state, right? That's attached to the intimacy. So if I can't have
You're a woman, of course.
If I can't have that vulnerability with you, like we could get down, like you could pipe me down, right? But I'm not gonna come. I'm not gonna have an orgasm. Like I'm not gonna climax because my mental isn't being fed. That intimacy isn't being like that intimacy that I crave is not being fulfilled. But I feel like that takes work, and a part of that comes with communication.
Yeah.
It sounds like you also kind of have a bunch of sapiosexualism. Like this, it sounds like you want to be, you need to be challenged. You need to have your mind work as well. It's not just a physical thing.
So
I won't say no.
And I'll go back. I'll touch on something else. Another comment that you made. I don't even. So yes, it is expected. Like it is expected for a man to know how to be intimate. The problem is most men don't know how to be intimate because most men are poor communicators. Most men never connect with the emotional side of themselves. Most men are tuned into the part of their brain that just says, if I show emotions, that makes me weak. And because of that, they have a fear of doing it, and so they don't. And it makes them horrible communicators. It makes them horrible at empathy. It makes them horrible at intimacy because they're not able to connect with the things that other people need to surround themselves with that intimacy. And so, yes, it is expected. And no, a woman shouldn't have to, if you are a real man, then no, a woman should not have to say, I need you to be intimate with me. A man should arrive knowing that. But that's just my opinion. Like, I'm out of the box knowing that I need to be intimate. No one has to tell me, hey, gee, I wish you'd be more intimate with me, because I'm already bringing that. And
interesting.
It's also, for the record, just for the most part, what he said is not normal in this society.
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's very interesting. It's actually refreshing to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it is not. It is not the norm. You're like the exception to the rule.
Yeah, there's a few that are out there. They exist. We are on Earth still.
He's mad hype right now. He's mad hype.
No, he is.
He's feeling himself right now.
Whatever.
Punch that chest, baby. Punch that chest.
Appreciate it.
Like the issue is it's a lot about society as well. Like the society that we come up in, or that we are in, is like men who show emotion,
and black men black men,
Black men in
men
particular.
specifically,
I was actually
yes,
gonna
have
ask. I was
have this issue. Oh my goodness.
In
Go
particular,
ahead, West Coast. Sorry.
if we show emotion, we some little bitches. We weak. You know what I mean. We're not strong men. You know,
but
men
I
don't
feel
cry.
like
All of that. All of those are old rules that have just sort of passed down through generations.
well
That
it's
go ahead, G.
no, I was gonna ask both of you if you feel like culture plays a part because I feel growing up we're both Puerto Rican and growing up in a Latin household that you gotta
Very
be
much
machismo.
machismo.
But I say
Hmm.
that
Yeah,
machismo's a real thing out there, man.
yeah.
Like
Oh, for sure. That
For
shit ain't
sure.
dead. That shit is a real thing. Like, and even me, like, I went to I did a leadership training in the city, right? And Jr. and Nadine did it in ATL, and I did this training. And what came up for me during one of my trainings was vulnerability, and we were doing an exercise and I just would not cry. And people were looking at me side eye like I was crazy. And I was like, what the fuck? Like I looked at one of my boys and he was just like, bitch, you don't cry? And I was like, I mean, if I have to. And what came up for me was that I had this idea. I did an exercise where it came up for me that I viewed vulnerability as a weakness. And so the coaching that I got at the time, now keep in mind, this is 10 years ago, but the coaching that I had got at the time was your power lies inside of your vulnerability. And so when you meet us with vulnerability and you show up lovingly and when you create a space to share your heart with us, that's where your power lies. And when they told me that, I was like, wow, my bitch, please. And then I went home and I was like, could you believe this bitch told me I was invulnerable? The fuck? And my homegirl was like, really? Like, you ain't see that? And then it took years of work for me to actually tap into vulnerability. And it took years of me like checking it. Like I had to check myself and coach myself a couple of times. Like, yeah, this would be the time when you would want to meet somebody and be vulnerable with them and be authentic. But it didn't come easy to me. And I realized throughout the other dyads and other exercises that my culture, my heritage played a huge part in that, a huge part in that. Because growing up Latina, like, what you crying for? Like, get up, do your job, clean the rooms, take care of the kids, take care of the other kids, take care of the men in the house. Like, you got to serve the men. If the men don't like what you serve them, make sure you make them something else. Don't show emotion. Like, it was real growing up Latin.
Giselle, do you remember that saying, you need a reason to cry? Because you were crying. You couldn't cry. You weren't allowed to cry.
Listen, my mom was like, she was a disciplinarian, but she would tell us, she's like, oh, you crying? Like, I'll give you a reason to cry. Like I'll whoop your ass and give you a real reason to cry. Shed a tear. And I'm like,
The chancleta used to come out.
yeah, anything that was around, the chancleta, the belt, the extension cord, the Reynolds wrap, the ketchup, whatever she had.
Slippers, shoes.
Yo.
Child abuse. It's called child abuse now.
Okay, that line itself is not unique to the Latin culture.
No, it's not.
Like that line, my mom was good for the "I give you a reason."
Yeah, that line was very big. It was very big in my house. Yeah, and my mother whooped us with extension cords.
So my mom grabbed whatever she could find.
Anything,
if it was close, she could grab it, and it could reach me. I could get hit. I had to learn evasive maneuvers early.
Yo, y'all might think that this ain't even a joke. I was like 31 before I would even have a drop cord in my house. I would not even allow them. I would not even allow them in my place. Like, no, for real. My mom just had drawers full of drop cords to beat us with. It was like
it's crazy. And our kids now don't even understand it. Like, I remember, like, I have 2 young kids, and their father's like sometimes, like, I'll yell at them, and he's like, "But why are you yelling?" I'm like, "Why you ain't yelling?" Like, yo, like, gee, like, I didn't grow up like that, and I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, you're right. Wait, this is a new age, this is a new year. Like, let me fall back a bit." But my mom was, she was infamous for shit like that. Yo, we'll be in the streets and backhand, like a straight up slap. Like, oh, you was talking in church? Watch, you're gonna get home. "You're gonna get home, young lady. Watch." I'm like, "Oh my god."
You got the look.
Yeah,
The
it was.
look.
I remember once saying something sideways to my mom's once, and I just remember her like just straight up whipping a box of Ritz, and that shit knocked me on my head. I was like, "Boop!" Just fell down on the bed. I was like, "Damn, how the fuck?" But all that, like all those crazy ass instances, is what led me to become guarded as an adult. So in my younger years, like in my younger 20s, I was extremely guarded. I was extreme, like empathy, like vulnerability, and all of that. That was like that was uncharted territory for me. So it wasn't until my late 20s, like or mid 20s, late 20s, that I started to like really do a deep dive and work on intimacy and work on vulnerability.
I mean, that's how it works, though. You know, the each generation learns something new because point blank period. There's no handbook for parenting, so they pretty much go with what they liked or didn't like about what their parents did and how they feel like they turned out. So you talking about getting a box of Ritz whipped at you? I don't remember. I remember I said something slick to my mom, and she caught me. There's still a scar over my eye. She caught me with a backhand that involved her wedding ring.
Oh, I hated those. I
Yeah.
hated
Painful.
those.
Oh,
Still a cut.
Oh my god.
And then, but my mom also had the smoothest backhand and then over the shoulder and lead you to the bathroom where she could let it actually hang out at that point because wasn't nobody in there. It was a smooth move.
I used to take my
But,
son into the bathroom when we were in public and whoop his ass.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
well, now you can't do that because people be with their cameras and their phones, and they're like, "Oh, this bitch whooping her son's ass. Hold on, let me just step on that toilet and get it."
You know, I'm thinking about this conversation, right? And I believe I'm really guilty about teaching like my son when he was younger about being vulnerable and not, and it was something simple as like he wasn't allowed, like he grew up with like my nieces, his cousins, and everything was girls and girl stuff and girl things. And if I even saw him like playing with the dolls or their Barbies or the Brats or something, and he's like there just being a kid, I would put a stop to it because I felt for me it wasn't like he's a boy and boys don't do that. And we had a conversation recently. He was like, "Mom, what was wrong with you? You were just crazy when I was little. Like you didn't even let me." I was with the girls, and those were my friends. Those were those are the people that you only allowed me to hang out with, and they were girls, and you didn't even allow me to play Barbies with them. And I was like, "'Cause you shouldn't. You play with cars, like you shouldn't." For me, that's how I was raised. Like, showing. Not being able to be sensitive with like my brother. He wasn't supposed to be sensitive. He wasn't supposed to be playing with dolls. He was supposed to be doing video games and kickball. And so when I saw my son doing it, I was like, if you touch that doll one more time, you're grounded. I'm going to whoop your ass and go to your room. You know what? Go to your room. Go to your room. And I think of it now, especially when he brought it up to me. He was like, I didn't understand what was the big deal. And to be honest with you, I didn't have an answer for him.
It's just the way we were raised.
That's the way we're raised.
And not that it should be acceptable, but it really was the way we were raised, And I remember telling my moms back in the day, like, fam, like I'm gonna call, at that time it was BCW. Right now it's ACS. I was like, I'm gonna call BCW, like you're abusing us. And my mom's like, I'm gonna fuck you up right now. And when I'm done fucking you up, I'm gonna give you the phone, and then you can call BCW.
You could call them.
Yeah, then you can call the popo. And I remember telling her that recently too, like a couple months back. I'm like, you used to fuck us up. Like, what's up? I was like, I had to like do deep diving, Mom, so I can learn how to be vulnerable and so that I can be loving. And my mom was like, "Pendeja, you successful, ain't you? You're welcome." I'm like, oh. I was like, wow. Like,
her mom is stuck. Her mom is stuck.
Right.
And my father was just there like, Blanca, like she's trying to have a talk with you. And I'm like, Ma, like this is for real. She was like, you make 6 figures? I was like, yeah. She was like, okay. She was like, you graduated college? I was like, yeah. She was like, you own a house? I was like, yeah. She was like, why you still complaining? Be humble. And walked away. I was like, this little. Like, right,
she could be listening.
Yeah, I was like, I got you. I'm like, Ma, all right. But it's the way we were raised. So now I have a question for y'all. Now, are you, because I don't know your relationship status. Are you both in relationships?
No, West Coast and I both. West Coast and I both are single as dollar bills.
Oh, he was happy to say that. He was
Yes,
like,
sir.
what? So 3 of us on this call are single.
Hello.
I get the feeling that you ain't all that single.
She is not all that single.
I'm single.
Can
I
I?
be hating on me, but I'm single.
No. I'm going to throw you out there. First of all.
Go ahead, because you've been doing that all day. You're gonna have to apologize tomorrow. I'm just saying.
Wait for it. So listen. Because I'm only telling the truth here. So Giselle lives with her baby daddy. They own this house. They live together. Regardless whether she lives on the west side of the apartment or the house and he lives on the east wing, they live together. She's still cooking, cleaning. She's
That's
still
out of respect, though.
whatever. That's a relationship.
I'm Latin.
Let me tell you.
You still hitting that?
No.
To be clear, I have not had sex in almost a year.
Oh, so sorry for you.
I know.
I'm gonna take a drink for you.
It's tragic. And I have a high appetite.
Long time.
It's a travesty.
October will make a year.
Ugh.
It is tragic.
You don't just see him getting out the shower and be like, boy, I could just.
Nah, no, because I told you that the emotions, like my intimacy, is attached to like my stamina is there, my appetite is there, but not for him.
So
it's not for him. And also, and I said this on previous podcasts, like on previous episodes, like I put in work, and they didn't call it a job for nothing. All right, there's a lot that a woman gotta do. You know what I'm saying? So like, legit. Like if I'm gonna put in work, I'm gonna give you some of the best head game you've ever had. I'm gonna bust it open and pop this pussy. I want to make sure that I'm really gonna enjoy it and that I'm gonna be in it. And I can't be in it if I'm not intimate with that person. So we live in separate sides of the house. I don't bust it open for him, and he is not getting any of this phenomenal head game. And I just, I rub it out myself. I still make myself come. Like, I still climax. Like, I know how to do that. I could take care of myself as a woman. But no, this October will make a year. And I just feel like if I'm going to put in that much work and, like, I'm going to give myself, like, my body to someone, like, that's sacred. So I'm not just going to randomly just give it out to any Tom, Dick, and Harry in the streets.
G.
Hey, go ahead, because you stay saying I got to bust it open. Go ahead. What?
So that, I'm just going to say it. So you never had like a crazy night that you just ripped off his clothes and was like doing it on the dining room table? I'm just saying. No dining room table.
With baby daddy?
Yes.
With baby daddy or just with baby daddy for sure. But that was when we was together. This is the thing though. We broke up 2 years ago. We bought a home together. So we're still here in the home. We can't agree on selling this property. So I live on one end of the house. He lives on the other end of the house. I'm not trying to bust it open for him. Nah, I'm not. I'm good. And then this is the thing. Like, I'm not trying to bust it open. And then he thinks that we back together. Like, oh, we ain't on a break no more. We good. No. We done though. Like, nah, I don't. I'll rub it. I rub one out every single morning. Sometimes at night too.
That's so weird to me. If I see any of my exes right now, I can smash any of my exes, even the ones in new relationships.
I bet.
If I see any of my exes right now, they give me.
I'm like, look, giving him the side. I had to turn on my video just to give him the side.
That is a
really?
fact.
Oh, so every single one of your exes is just busting it open for you. I had to turn my video on just to give you a side. Not
that they busting it open for me, but like. Oh, if they came right now and was like, hey, what you doing? I'm recording a podcast. Can I chill for a little while? Yeah, you can chill for a little while. I guarantee I'm going to get off this podcast, have a couple glasses of wine.
See, but there's a difference. Time out, G. There's a difference. And I'm just going to put a saying out there. When a woman goes out, we can have sex with anybody we want. A guy can't do that. We could get lucky every single time. But a guy really can't do that.
According to our fellow podcaster right here, he is saying he can put in some phone calls, okay, honey? And it's popping. It is popping. That is what he is saying. It is going down. But my question is, do you put in some work? And I'm just curious now too. Like, if you're gonna get down with them, are they just randomly giving you head too? Because that's personal. Head is personal.
They do whatever I require. Whatever.
Hello.
These women out here are reckless.
Whatever I feel like I might need or want.
Well, you don't know what he gave them in the relationship, their intimacy. You don't know. That's why they keep coming back. Let her know, money. Let her know.
Not that they coming back. I'm just saying, like, I know this for a fact. If I see any of my exes, it can go down. Period.
I'm
West Coast, how do you feel about that?
Please weigh in and don't agree with this man right now.
Wow.
So
West Coast will tell you, if I say it, if it ain't true, I ain't gonna say it.
Here's why I agree with what he said. Here's why. Like, I'm right there the same way, but it is because we broke through the levels of intimacy at the correct level.
See,
I agree with him.
Okay.
So in reality,
but I like how he said it though.
Right. All you got to do in reality is you got to catch them at the right. If you catch them at the right time, you just have to know what level of intimacy to start at and work from there.
I do got to agree with you. Not that I would do it now.
That it sounded sexy.
I know it did. Not that I would do it now, but when I was single and I saw not my ex-husband, but other exes, definitely would have given it to them. Definitely. Hands down. I'm not even going to front. I probably did give it to them. I'm not even going to lie.
It happens more.
Actually,
it happens more than you think.
Please, girl. And my ex-husband was not my baby daddy. He was my son's stepfather, and my baby daddy still was getting it. So, yeah, I could agree with you. Mm-hmm. Giselle, don't play. You know.
G,
I'm not saying, no, let's be
You're in the
clear.
minority
I
right
never
now.
said, no way. I mean, but haven't I been the entire phone call? I'm not saying I haven't slept with any of my exes. I said I'm not sleeping with baby daddy. And to be clear, not all my exes can get it. There's only one ex right now that can get it. And that's because the level, again, what was said, the level of intimacy that we reached, was on point. It was, we were just so, for him, yeah.
I think we have
some work. I put in some overtime.
I can dig it. But it's not like I have 94 exes. I have like 4 exes.
Okay, like, thank you for clearing that up. Because I was a little concerned. I'm not gonna lie.
He was talking about exes. He wasn't talking about jump offs. He's just talking about exes.
True.
Let's get that like on the loud and clear, because
So now, if you're in a relationship, would you find, like, let's say you've been dating somebody for a couple of months, maybe a year. If there's not intimacy present, is that a deal breaker for you guys, or are you good to continue a relationship?
I'm not. You're not going to get, if we have no intimacy, you're not going to get to a year. You're not going to get to a few months with me, because that is a requirement.
Oh, that's a deal.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
You are really, I mean, if this is honest conversation, this is like I'm legit. You're like an exception to the rule right now, for real. Because I know plenty of men that are fine having a relationship and not having intimacy present. But I guess if you have
how do you do that?
Yeah, that's not love. That's
how do you do that?
You're not in love with them.
And maybe it's because I'm in my mid to late 30s. Like, I'm not like 24 anymore. So like, but even when I was 20, that's never been a thing for me. So I don't,
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to be in love with somebody. It's another thing to be used to them. You feel me? Like, a lot of people get comfortable, and when they get comfortable, they get complacent. When they get complacent, they just stop paying attention.
I think there's a deeper reality there, West Coast. I think it's And so when I'm writing about relationships and I'm writing about that's why when I write about relationships, I always write about inner perspective first because I really think that the disconnect is there's so many people that are not honest with themselves, and they're trying to have these functional relationships when you're caring about someone else's world and you're caring about how their world intertwines with yours. That you cannot do that correctly if you're not honest with yourself about who you are, what you want. If you haven't lived long enough, you haven't experienced long enough, you haven't experienced enough things to identify correctly what those things are, then it is impossible for you to make someone else happy. And so you're always in this perpetual roller coaster of like compromising and redefining and like I don't even like the word in a relationship. That's why I don't use the word compromise. That's why I use the word collaborate because no one should have to compromise who they are. No one should have to compromise like, well, damn, I really fucking hate whatever, but I'm gonna do it. Just like, but when you collaborate, it means you're communicating. It means you're working together to bridge a gap versus compromising, meaning that like you're giving up something to get something else. And yeah, I know that goes on. I know that happens. I know that's a necessity, but I would much rather collaborate with my lady than have to compromise with my lady.
I have to say that was very well said. After being divorced, I knew exactly what I didn't want and what exactly I wanted. And it takes work sometimes. The guy that I'm dating now, I still haven't gotten his Netflix password, but
Well, we talked about this.
we talked about this.
That's crazy that that's even a thing.
We talked about this. I still haven't gotten his password, but
Did you ask him?
No. But it's okay. I'll get there. Let me be. But I work at having the relationship I've always wanted, the intimacy, the communication, and sometimes I backtrack, and he's right there and saying, "What are you doing? Let's talk about this. Let's don't fall back into a shell." Like he already knows my
go-to.
Right, like he already knows how I'm gonna close myself to him, and he pulls me back into like reminding me of exactly what I want, and that just goes back to like communicating with him on how unhappy I used to be and how happy I am and how happy I want to continue being. So, and it's definitely me. Him and I are not compromising anything about ourselves to get there, which is a breath of fresh air.
That sounds like you got a real one. That's all that really matters.
I just got to get that Netflix password, and then we'll be set.
Solidify.
And then we'll be set.
I think when you're in a long-term relationship, because you were in a long-term relationship with your ex, I think once you separate, you leave there with a different understanding. Like when I, even being with my kid's father, we were together for 8 years. So walking away from it, I think for me, it was, all right, we had 2 children together. We bought a house together. We moved to another state together. And inside of that, there was a lot of evolving, and there was a lot of conversations. And I think leaving, like somebody asked me, well, what's your biggest takeaway? Well, my biggest takeaway would be knowing what I want, right? So I think who I was when we met, it's not who I am right now. We met 10 plus years ago. I'm not the same girl. Like I felt like when I met him, I was a young lady. Now I've morphed into a woman. And so my wants and my needs are completely different now. Like it didn't work out. I don't love him any less, right? The love is still there. I'm not in love with him. I don't want to be intimate with him. I don't want to move forward with him. But I am clear on what's wanted and needed from a relationship moving forward. Just like I'm clear about what I'm not willing to accept, right? All those red flags. Yeah, moving forward into another relationship, like I would know, okay, yeah, we good. Like we're not going to move forward with this. So I think for anybody leaving or anybody who's been in a long-term relationship has that kind of clarity. And then there's some people who haven't been in long-term relationships and still have that fucking clarity.
Facts.
That's also true. Like,
Because
again, what you guys are, the evolving part is the part that's unique. It's one thing to evolve by yourself, to evolve it within yourself, and something else to evolve as a collaboration. To steal money word, I like the way he did that.
Mm-hmm.
So if the two of you are growing as two separate trees, like some trees end up, one half has white flowers, one half has pink flowers. Other trees will just kill each other. One will just take all the sunlight and kill the other one. Either way, you're both evolving.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how you evolve, to if you want to evolve together or if you want to evolve as individuals.
and I think there's
And that's a
you
huge
get the
piece.
right, because you get the duality of both components. You get, so when I'm assessing if I want to be in a relationship with someone, I assess individual growth. I assess my individual growth. I try the best I can to assess her ability to grow, and then I try to assess our compatibility to grow together. And if those things kind of make, 'cause nothing's perfect, nothing's, set in stone, but you try to, use the information that you have to say those things kind of align with my vision, then I can kind of move forward with that. But intimacy is definitely a part of that, because you can't, in my opinion, even make those assessments without being pretty intimate with a person. I want to know what your goals and hopes and fears and aspirations and dreams and your scariest moments and why you love pizza and why you can't swim and you're 35. I want to know all of that. And and then I can make those decisions and move forward. So that's why I said
Definitely can't swim.
That's why I said no, I would never get to 6 months or a year without being intimate, because I wouldn't even know who you are. And so at that point, you might as well just be a stranger, and we could have just smashed.
Jump off.
Yeah. And then that's how you get to be, in my world, that's how you either get to be a jump off or I keep you around. Like we did the episode. I fucked around and started liking you, trying to fuck you. I was trying to smash and I fucked around and started liking you. I think that's how the episode goes.
That's the name of the episode.
I like that. I think we could do an episode like that, G.
Listen here. We're going to have them on as guests to that episode as well.
So guys, this was a great episode. We want to thank you for coming on to our show. And is there anything else you guys want to say to end the show up? Close the show up?
I mean, as always, y'all make sure you check out Unsupervised, the spinoff podcast. We out there every week holding it down. Me, Money. Hollywood Paul is right now missing, but he be in the game all the time. We like to do exactly what y'all like to do. It's the same game. And then the same. Go ahead, man.
I was about to say, if your day jobs didn't work out, y'all could definitely be like phone sex operators, because y'all voices, I can't. Both of you right now. So that's my takeaway tonight. Damn it, that's my takeaway. You're welcome. You have a job in the nightlife. If your day job don't work out, you are very welcome, sir.
She's crazy.
I'm flattered.
Right?
I got Lala blushing. You're welcome too, Lala. She wasn't expecting that one.
I was not.
You're looking for a 6th stream of revenue,
Yep. Gotta get the additional ones.
There you go.
That's it.
Happens either way.
Yeah, I don't have anything too crazy. Just, thank y'all. I know y'all are frontline workers, so, appreciate your service to the community, to us. I have a lot of friends in this profession as well. I actually work in the medical healthcare software side, so I'm very familiar with that. And so, thank you. Everybody knows what I'm gonna say. Keep wearing your mask. Keep doing what you're supposed to do, man. Stay out of these ladies' hair if you can. They out here working double, triple shifts. Keep everybody safe. Y'all already know what I'm gonna say, man. I'm glad. Thank you for letting me come on the show. I've really, really enjoyed myself. You both are beautiful, very, 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 very beautiful ladies.
Thank you.
You're always welcome. Always welcome on Unsupervised Spinoff. And y'all already know what I'm gonna say. If you're not rocking with Defy Life, what's your life about?
Ew. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to being on another show of Unsupervised, and we hope to have together, and we hope to have you on a happy hour with us. G, anything you want to add?
No, just that you guys were a breath of fresh air. You guys really, thank you again for coming on, and I appreciate it. And you guys really, I appreciate hearing a man's perspective and just, hearing you guys speak on intimacy. So thank you for your vulnerability and your honesty, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
He's like, you're welcome.
Our pleasure.
All right, guys.
Thank you, listeners, for coming on tonight. Thank you, G, for doing everything you're doing out there with healthcare. Everybody, remember to wear your mask, and guys, stay safe. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.